I, 28F, have an older story that sounds fake every time I tell it, but I promise every word is true. My younger sister, Emily, 26F, has been my parents' golden child since the day she was born. I wasn't abused in the way most people imagine. I was fed, clothed, and had a roof over my head. What I didn't have was love, attention, or the feeling that I mattered. If Emily wanted something, my parents found a way to make it happen. If I needed something, I was told to wait, save my own money, or stop complaining because other children had it worse. When we were little, I thought that was normal. It wasn't until I got older that I realized families weren't supposed to work that way. Emily had birthday parties with pony rides, giant cakes, and dozens of friends. My birthdays were usually a pizza from the grocery store and a quick happy birthday before my parents turned their attention back to Emily. She got designer clothes because she liked nice things. I wore whatever relatives donated or whatever fit from the clearance rack. Whenever someone noticed and asked why we were treated so differently, my mother would smile and say, "Emily is just more sensitive. She needs a little extra." That phrase became her excuse for everything. Emily needs extra. Emily deserves more. Emily comes first. I learned very young that I came second, or maybe fourth. Sometimes it felt like even the family dog ranked above me. School became my escape. I loved learning because teachers praised me for things my parents ignored. I studied hard, joined clubs, entered competitions, and earned the highest grades in my class. Every certificate I brought home ended up in a drawer. Meanwhile, Emily once received a participation ribbon at a school fun day, and my parents framed it in the living room. I wish I were exaggerating. One Christmas, I asked for a used laptop because I wanted to learn graphic design. Emily wanted the newest phone. On Christmas morning, she opened the phone while I unwrapped socks, notebooks, and a flashlight. I smiled anyway because I didn't want to seem ungrateful. Later, I overheard Dad telling Mom, "She's easy. We don't have to spend much on her." Those words stayed with me longer than any gift ever could. By the time I turned 15, I had stopped asking for anything. I babysat after school, tutored younger students, and worked weekends at a small cafe. Every rand I earned went into a savings account for university because I knew nobody else was going to pay for it. Emily laughed whenever I worked. She'd tell her friends, "My sister likes pretending she's poor." Pretending. Meanwhile, she received an allowance bigger than my monthly paycheck. Whenever she overspent, my parents simply gave her more. She never learned what no meant. At 16, I won a regional academic scholarship that covered part of my future tuition. It was the proudest moment of my life. My parents forgot the award ceremony. They'd promised to come. Instead, they took Emily shopping because she wanted a dress for a friend's birthday party. When I got home carrying my certificate, Mom barely looked up. "Oh, congratulations," she said, before asking Emily if the blue heels matched her handbag. That night I cried quietly so nobody would hear. Not because they missed the ceremony, because I realized they hadn't even remembered why it mattered. The older I got, the clearer everything became. Emily wasn't better than me. She was simply loved more. When university acceptance letters arrived, I was offered a place in one of the country's top business schools. I couldn't stop smiling. Then reality hit. My parents sat me down and explained they couldn't help with tuition because money was tight. I believed them, until Emily announced she wanted to attend a private college in another city. Suddenly there was money, not just tuition, an apartment, a new car, furniture, living expenses, everything. I finally asked the question I'd held inside for years. "What about my education?" Dad looked uncomfortable. Mom answered without hesitation. "You're responsible. You'll figure it out." I remember staring at them, waiting for the punchline. It never came. That was the moment something inside me broke. I stopped expecting fairness. I stopped expecting love. Most importantly, I stopped expecting them to change. I accepted student loans, worked 2 part-time jobs, and left home with 2 suitcases and exactly 300 rand in my bank account. Nobody cried when I left. Emily barely looked up from her phone. Mom reminded me to call if I needed advice. Dad told me to work hard. That was it. No hugs, no photos, no emotional goodbye. During university, I survived on instant noodles, peanut butter sandwiches, and determination. I attended lectures all day, worked evenings at a restaurant, then studied until 2 or 3 in the morning. Some weeks I slept less than 25 hours. Still, I graduated near the top of my class. I mailed invitations for my graduation months in advance. My parents said they'd be there. The morning of the ceremony, I kept checking my phone, wondering where they were. Halfway through the event, I knew they weren't coming. Afterward, Mom called. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Emily wasn't feeling well, so we stayed home with her." I later discovered from social media that Emily had spent the day at a beach resort with her friends. She wasn't sick. She was sunbathing. Something changed in me after that. I stopped calling, stopped texting, stopped trying. If relationships require effort from both sides, ours had only ever been one-sided. Instead, I poured everything into my career. I landed an entry-level job at a technology company where nobody cared who my parents were. They cared about results. For the first time in my life, hard work actually mattered. I stayed late, volunteered for difficult projects, learned every new skill I could. Within 4 years, I had earned multiple promotions and saved enough money to launch my own software consulting company. It wasn't glamorous. My first office was a tiny rented room above an old bakery. The ceiling leaked whenever it rained. The internet failed almost every afternoon. I owned one second-hand desk, two mismatched chairs, and a laptop held together